Welcome again, everyone. Today, we're going to talk about how to consistently share impact with your supporters. And you're going to hear from me, you're going to hear from Michaela Kaiser-White, our new CFRE, and you're going to hear from Jenna McKenzie. So next slide, please, Trish. So first off, let's think about what impact reporting is. Like, what purpose does it serve in the work that we do? Well, it can be all kinds of different types of engagement. So it can be acknowledgement. It can help you with stewardship. Sometimes we think about acknowledgement as like just letting the donor know that their check arrived safely. Or we think of stewardship as just getting those thank you letters out the door. But those activities can be a whole lot deeper if you include some impact reporting with them. Whenever we think about stewardship, CFRE actually defines stewardship as the guiding principle in philanthropic fundraising. Now, that goes for both the donor and for the behaviors of the organization. And if you think about kind of the root of the word steward that lies at the heart of that term, stewardship, a steward was originally, way back in the 1600s, like the highest ranking person in an aristocratic household. So if you were anybody back whenever Downton Abbey was on TV, if you remember Mr. Carson, he was just the butler. The steward would have actually outranked Mr. Carson. That person was so important because they managed the financial affairs of the household. So that meant that the aristocrats themselves had to trust that person implicitly. And whenever you report on impact, you're showing that your organization is a good steward of other people's resources. Trish, if you would, next slide. Now, whenever you decide to report this impact, just like any other communication with a donor, you want to make sure that you're going by the donor's preferences. So whenever you sign that, get that pledge form signed, whenever you get that yes from that donor, that can be a great time to talk about when they want to hear about the impact of their gift. Second, you don't have to throw a parade or even produce a gigantic annual report to report the impact of their work. Remember, fundraising is all about relationships, and relationships are sometimes built on very tiny details. Thank you notes that include information about the change that their gift created in the world. You know, we talk about relationships so much in fundraising, but really the hardest relationship to build, you've got the relationship maybe between the fundraising staff and the donor, or the volunteers who are involved and the donor. But the hardest relationship to build is the relationship between that donor and the good that they create in the world through your organization. Impact reporting really helps you to dial that relationship in. And it's one that can be ephemeral because there's not a person on the other side of it, but that really lies at the heart of the relationship that you're trying to build. Next slide, and next to Michaela.
Thank you, Mary. Let's take this next portion of time to talk through various activities that can be implemented in your programs to support you in sharing your impacts with donors and your prospects. Everyone on the call today is coming from a different organization, a different organizational structure. You might be one person that does your finance, your fundraising, your marketing, or maybe you're a part of a team with 3 frontline fundraisers. No matter where you're coming from, we all want to work intelligently and use our time to the best of our abilities. And even as we go through these, I encourage you to think some of these activities can be used as cultivation as well. It's just a matter of how it's packaged for the donor. But let's start with some of the low cost and low energy activities you can implement. The first on this list is a quick email, text message, maybe it's a phone call, a voice message works equally as well in this case. Immediately acknowledging when a donor gives to your organization. When someone hits submit or sends in a check, they get a little dopamine rush. They're excited about what they just did. And you want to connect with them immediately. Let them know you see this gift coming in, you are thankful for it, and that a formal tax receipt is on its way. In order to support you in this work, maybe you save a note on your phone where you can copy paste a thank you message to send off in a text, or you have a Word document with copy outlined for a thank you email. All you do is change the to line and the dear so-and-so, and you can send it immediately. Another fun little thing you can do to customize your stewardship is writing a handwritten note on your tax receipt. Another thing you can kind of implement to streamline, if you have access to a really high quality printer, something that I've done before is on a white piece of paper, take a strong black marker and write a little note, scan that, and then include it as an image in the footer of the tax receipt. So every time it's printed off, each donor gets a handwritten note. Now, if you do that, change it every year so the donor's not getting the same handwritten note every time they give, right? Incorporate your donors in your organization's monthly, quarterly e-newsletter. Make sure they know what's happening at your organization, the impact of their contribution, and this is one of those that could work as cultivation too, right? What is coming up in the future that you're going to need support accomplishing? This can be utilized as a really great tool, especially with major donors. You don't need to create any new content. You as a frontline fundraiser can just forward that e-newsletter to a major donor and highlight a specific piece that you want them to take away. Perhaps there's a student that was highlighted in the newsletter and they're a recipient of a scholarship. Forward it to a donor and say, did you see that Jane was highlighted? She won this award in DC. Thank you so much for making this scholarship a possibility. Your donation is helping us make a big change in this student's life, right? Also, public recognition is a great tool to use to implement at your organization, of course, with donor permission, outlining on your newsletter, website, maybe inside your organization, a donor wall, social media. These are all wonderful places to send a little thank you to your donors. This is also a great recruitment tool for other donors, right? It is more compelling as a prospective donor to join a list of 15 donors as opposed to 2 donors on a donor listing. For this reason, we encourage you to think about reviewing these listings on an annual basis. You can even use it as a tool to follow up with somebody who's maybe on the edge of lapsing as a donor. Last October, you kindly gave at this level. We're doing a review of our website, and I wanted to check in and see, would you like to renew your support or increase your support this year, right? Always be sharing your project and campaign updates with your donors. Make sure that they know what's happening at your organization. Celebrate every success that you have with them. Additionally, I encourage you here at Pride, we encourage our clients to really utilize their volunteers and donors as leaders and advocates at certain giving levels. You're probably an expert at giving an update on the impact of that individual's donation, but are you also thinking about the way to communicate their impact as a leader in that philanthropic circle? For example, send a quick email to Tom. Hey, Tom, I just wanted to let you know that we welcome 2 new donors at the Gold Circle this week. I wanted to thank you personally for being a leader at this giving level and encouraging others with this capacity to join us in our campaign. What a great way to encourage them to continue this work and supporting you, and also share that they as a volunteer are making a great impact in addition to their contribution to your organization. Next slide, please, Trish. Thank you. So let's talk about working smart. We've maybe got some events on our calendar. How can we use them as an identification tool, a stewardship tool, a cultivation tool? In many cases, a major donor might be a great candidate to just give a free ticket to your gala or to an invite-only event. In fact, you could even take it to the next level and encourage them to bring a guest who could in turn be a prospect for your organization, right? This can be a way to engage them, invite them into your donor family, and ultimately, don't you want your major donors interacting with your event attendees anyhow? What a great combination of individuals. You can put together small personalized opportunities like a photo book for unique recognition opportunities to major or legacy gift donors. I'd love to ask Jenna to share an example of an acknowledgement event that she conducted for a donor.
Thank you, Michaela. I had the privilege of working with the sweetest elderly couple at a university several years ago. And the husband was an accomplished violinist, in addition to having been really successful as a real estate developer. And as they both entered their 80s, he realized obviously he was not able to play his violin as often as he would like. It was sort of just sitting, gathering dust. And amongst many of their planned gift and legacy gift conversations, he kept referring to this really amazing violin. He had developed a friendship with one of our violin instructors, and she highlighted an incoming freshman that did not own his own high quality instrument. Long story short, Jack decided to donate his really high quality violin, and I'm sorry, I don't know like what brand it was. We went through the appraisal, we went through all the documentation, and then we were going to schedule a private donation ceremony where Jack would get to spend some time with the student who would be utilizing this amazing instrument for his 4 years at our university. And so Jack's wife unfortunately was ill and she was not able to join us on campus, and so we had an intimate visit in a beautiful space on campus. The instructor was there, the student was there, and a few of us from development. We had our photographer taking lots of photos. The student actually got to play the violin, sort of a mini private concert for Jack. All of this was captured through some short recordings as well as these photos, which I used Snapfish online. We created a small personal photo keepsake, which we delivered the following week to Jack and his wife. So even though she couldn't physically be with us at this ceremony and the signing of this gift agreement, she got to experience it through the videos, the storytelling from all of us, as well as her husband, and then actually seeing the photos. For many months after, it became a coffee table book at their home, and every single person that came over had to look at the book with Jack and hear this story of, this amazing student that he was helping support through this great gift. It took probably 10 minutes for me to make that little photo book, but it left a lasting impression with the donor, his wife, and everyone that they met.
Thanks, Jenna. That's just like a lovely way to celebrate that generosity. The next item that we have on this list is donor surveys. This is a great tool to engage most specifically your annual gifts group. But this is an invitation to open some dialogue and collect information on how best to engage with these donors moving forward. For example, at the end of an open house or an event you're hosting where new guests are coming into your space, you might set up a very short, and I recommend a short survey. Nobody wants to fill out a long donor engagement survey from the development department. A short 3 to 5 question survey with multiple choice answers to learn a little bit more about these attendees. For example, was this your first event at our organization? 2, what drew you to this event? Is it A, the cause, B, the cost of admission? Is this on point for your organization? C, my spouse made me make them laugh, or gather information that you should be connecting with their spouse moving forward? Or D, the free food. And if that's the case, maybe you just keep that rolling moving forward. 3, would you like to know more about supporting this organization? That's an invitation to join your e-newsletter and your solicitation cycle, right? And then end it with, how do you like to be communicated with? Email, phone, text message. That's their way of inviting you to engage with them moving forward. If you want to take it to the next level, you might segment these surveys, right? You might have one survey that goes to people who actually checked into the event and another survey that goes to those that registered but didn't actually come to the event. Figure out, we were really disappointed we didn't get to see you yesterday. What was the reason you weren't able to join us? And two, what could we change moving forward to make sure that you're able to join in the celebration? And then the last item on our list, and we put this intentionally at the end here, is providing a small, like, branded tchotchke, a token of appreciation to include someone in the cause. And the reason we put this at the end is it's not an appropriate way to steward everyone. Your $1 million donor is not going to be inspired likely by a tote bag. But this can be a useful tool for your annual gifts group, or perhaps the lower level business gift donors, just a way to pull them into the fold. And it's maybe even an opportunity for you to work with your marketing staff, or maybe you are marketing, and you could work to find a way to meet two objectives in this space. So now that you've got some tools for a variety of ways to engage with your donors in stewardship, I'd love to turn it over to Jenna to talk about why this work is so important.
Thank you so much, Mary, Michaela. Great job. I want to take a second and encourage all of our attendees to share some examples. What are you doing right now at your organizations for low impact, high return stewardship touches? What are the elements that you might be leaning into as you do some summer planning? And how effective are those things in keeping your donors and volunteers engaged? If anybody is willing to unmute and share some recent activities or things that they've done successfully in the past, we'd love to hear from our attendees. Otherwise, I encourage you guys to throw it in the chat. We learn just as much from each of you every virtual forum as we like to share. So anybody want to toss out some ideas or fun tips and tricks that you've tried at your organizations?
I'll say something real quick, because I just had a brain cramp while we were sitting here talking about this, because we do twice a year. It's called Beneficence, and it's a newsletter we sent out to all of our donors. And when she was talking about that, I thought something that I have not done, I don't think, in the past, is maybe if they have been a donor, is to highlight their name or put a little Post-it note or something to indicate like where on the page they were. And like you could put a little note inside that newsletter saying thank you. Just so, because if you've got a roll of donors, I mean, yes, we try to do them in alphabetical order, but sometimes they're not. It's just based on the giving level. And I think that's a nice way to help them find their name quickly and just make a little note.
I love that idea, Cindy. Thank you for sharing. And we actually tested this once in our virtual impact report, right? We had an honor roll as part of that. We sort of tracked like what pages do people spend the most time on. And a lot of our donors first went to the honor roll to make sure their name was there and to see where it was listed. It's definitely an older way to recognize our donors. Is there are lots of new opportunities, but people want to see their name on the list, and they want to compare, right? Where are my peers?
Right.
Where are my
And make
friends?
sure the name is spelled correctly.
Yep. And check for spellings for sure. I love that idea. Putting a little Post-it on there, adding a personal note of thanks when you send that out. It's a great idea. So as we talk through all of these opportunities, I'll admit I'm a little bit biased. I started my fundraising career. When I moved into Frontline, I was a stewardship officer. And so I was trying to shift a team from what gift do we give donors to how do we acknowledge the gifts the donors have given us, right? That was sort of my main goal moving into that role. I think that it's important to remember that, yes, we want to thank our donors. We want to continuously engage our current donors. But we also, I think Michaela touched on this, we want to leverage our donor support to secure more donors, to bring new friends into the fold. Good recognition is designed to draw attention to your project, to your campaign. It is designed to inspire additional giving from others. And this works at every single level on the gift chart, right? We often talk about building quantity of donors at the annual gifts level, but this is true of major gifts and signature gifts as well. When we think about recapturing a donor, we know, just like in business, recapturing, maintaining a client, a partner is always less expensive than replacing them with a new one. This is very true in development. It's why we talk so much about the recapture rate or the renewal rate. We get a donor in the door and we want to keep them in our pipeline. That requires a good relationship. It requires ongoing maintenance, right? Just like a friend or a marriage. We have to maintain the relationship and connection. And we need to do that with our donors as well. Remember, this is not a solo sport. We want to use our colleagues. We want to use our program directors. We want to pull in our CEO and our volunteers. Everybody at the organization plays a role in deepening the engagement from our donors. But losing a donor means that we are going to have to go find a fresh new body to fill that slot. And that is going to take a lot longer, right? It's going to take a bigger investment of time and our resources. We always want to be bringing new friends to the table and maintaining those old friends as well. Loyal donors, repeat donors, become our best advocates. They often provide our organization with a predictable stream of income, right? Especially through our annual fund. We know we can count on them year to year, and we can sort of make some budget goals and set some expectations around that income. But beyond their financial contributions, our most loyal donors, our most consistent returning donors, are often our most passionate advocates, right? They're the ones that are most engaged on our social media. They're the most likely to invite a friend to an event or bring someone by for a tour because they have skin in the game and they have a good awareness of your organization. They can introduce you to their new networks, right? They can expand your circle of influence. They can unlock new funding sources and bring new partners to the table. So not only do we steward because it's the right thing to do, but we steward because the goal is for long-term growth of the donor relationship. Lastly, these loyal donors are often our top candidates for major and planned gifts. We often work with new clients who, when we're looking at a donor role, they'll say, well, Susie has always given $1,000 a year. That is just what she's always going to give. I often question if anyone's ever asked Susie about a major gift, right? Have we left Susie in her comfort zone? Have we intentionally stewarded and cultivated her toward a major gift? Have we had that conversation with her? A lot of times you'll uncover that Susie also has you in her will. She just never told you because you never asked. Susie may have an IRA that she's directing to multiple organizations. Again, if we've never asked, she's never thought to send an additional contribution our way. And so don't overlook your loyal donors. Don't overlook the folks that have been in the fold for years and years and years. Give them a little extra stewardship love and have a conversation with them about their why. It's always worth our time. I want to say thank you guys. This is an amazing turnout for today's forum. If you will, please unmute, share any questions or suggestions. As I said, we love to learn from you all as well as share our experiences with our Pride clients and visitors. As a reminder, we are offering blueprint sessions to prospective clients. So if you know someone who might be interested in Pride support, I hope you'll refer them. They can have a 30-minute call with a member of our team, learn a little bit about our services, and we can see if it's a fit for growing their fundraising goals. Any of you on the call today that are not clients, I hope you'll consider doing this and continue to join us for educational opportunities like this.
Katie, did you have a question?
Oh, no, I was just going to add something that I've done recently that's been impactful is we have video testimonials of our patients. And what I'll do is just text those out to some of our donors, just saying thank you for impacting families like Jeremiah's. because I know they're probably not seeing it on social media. I mean, these are individuals who are busy, you know, they're not seeing it on social media. They're probably not reading the e-newsletters all the way through because, you know, they overwhelm inboxes. So just making sure some of those major donors are seeing the impact videos.
Thank you, Katie. Great suggestion. As a reminder, if you've got content going in your newsletter, if you've got content on social media, don't be afraid to recycle and repurpose it, just like Katie's using. It's a great way to make sure that you're getting more coverage. It's a direct text, which I love because you know that's getting into the hands of the people that you really want to directly share that impact with. Thank you so much, Katie.